Hey guys, welcome to Dan Reviews It. My name is Dan, and this time we're going to take a look at two brand new movies in theaters right now, Gifted and DisneyNature's Born in China. So first up is Gifted. This movie stars Chris Evans, Captain America himself, as not the dad, but the uncle of this brilliant young girl. She's 7 years old, and she's played by McKenna Grace, and she's a genius. And he wants her to be acclimated to a regular school, normal kids, to grow up and have fun and do all those things. So he puts her in a school. The teacher, played by Jenny Slate, right away knows that this girl is special, gifted, smarter than me. She finds out, so she wants to put her in a special school and give her all the opportunities that her brain can afford her. And Chris Evans really doesn't want to do that. So in comes the grandmother, Chris Evans' character's mom, played by Lindsay Price, and she wants the girl to continue her very scholarly education and route, and get all the things that she can do. So a custody battle ensues, and this and that and the other thing. The mother in the picture, has died a few years ago, and was brilliant herself, and so sort of like and she committed suicide. So it's sort of like a, what would she have wanted? There was no will to say who gets the girl. So yeah, it's a very moving film. I cried a couple times in it for sure. It's very touching. It's emotional, but it is funny too. It has some good humor. Jenny Slate, of course, is a very funny person. Her character, definitely has some laughs. Octavia Spencer is in it as the neighbor, and she plays the Octavia Spencer character. I'm sure they said, hey, we're looking for an Octavia Spencer type, and they got the real deal with her. So, it's one of the roles that she does that is more effective than some others. She plays pretty much the same role all the time, and in some movies like Hidden Figures, it works great, and in others, it isn't quite what is needed for the film. That Kevin Costner movie sort of comes to mind, that Black and White, I think it was called. But anyway, here, she's good as the neighbor. And there's sort of a love story going on between Jenny Slate and Chris Evans. That's to be expected. So, there's certainly some basic elements to this sort of a movie that are present. But one thing I really, really loved about this movie, other than that, I thought the emotional notes were pretty solid, is the Chris Evans character. He is a well written character, and he's a smart guy on his own, but when it takes, or when it comes time to take care of the girl, he, kind of uproots his whole life and moves her down south. I believe they're living in Florida, or Georgia, or so. I think it's Florida. And he works on boats now for a living and takes care of her. And so, I really love his emotional notes. I love his arc, because there are times in the movie where he does sort of wonder, am I doing right by this girl? Am I doing the right thing? So, I think there's some good questions, to be asked there. The big downfall of the movie, other than the fact that it's just a little generic, I suppose, in story, are the villains. The grandmother and her lawyer are just so gross and just like, oh, you just hate them so much. There's never a chance, really, at least I didn't find a chance to really feel like, okay, well, maybe they are right. Maybe Chris Evans is wrong and they're right. The way it's written, you don't really ever get that back and forth. The whole time you're kind of like, yeah, they suck. And the movie does give you some motivation for her to be as abrasive as she is. and as, I guess, quote unquote villainous as she is. But her character is pretty one dimensional, I suppose, and that does hurt the movie a little bit. But I think, like I said, the humor is good in it. The emotions are great. There's a recurring gag with this one-eyed cat named Fred that they have, that's awesome. And this girl, McKenna Grace, man, is she a good actress. She really gets, some of these emotional scenes very, very right. And I thought she did a great job. She's one of these, every year there's like one or two really young kids, under about 10, that just kind of pop up out of nowhere, and you're like, wow, like, hopefully this kid's going to do some big stuff. And she really, really was strong in this movie. So, yeah, definitely Gifted is a recommended movie for me. It's a B+. So up next is DisneyNature's Born in China. Not every year, but just about every year. I think the last one was 2 years ago, but DisneyNature puts out a documentary film right around Earth Day, and this year it's Born in China. The narration this time around is John Krasinski of The Office, and more dramatically 13 Hours, The Secret Soldiers of Benghazi. And it's another, if you've seen Monkey Kingdom or Bears or any of the other ones, it's, same type of premise. They sort of give quote-unquote human stories and attach them to these animals and what they're doing, and sometimes there's some humor involved, and sometimes there's some attacks and some scary stuff, and this is actually, I think, one of the better ones, and partially I think it's because it doesn't just focus on one thing. Monkey Kingdom was very memorable because of a couple key scenes, and monkeys, of course, are very funny, and Tina Fey, did a great job with the narration. But here, they go season by season. They start in spring, and they go around to the following spring. So it's a year and, a few months, I guess, total. But it's not just one creature. And it's not everything, obviously, that's, in China, but Born in China, so they stick with some of the main attractions of China. Panda bears, snow leopards, there are some monkeys involved, and some gazelles as well, I believe. But each one, you see them through the seasons, and you see them with their families and trying to provide for their families, and the sort of story that each one takes. For the panda bear, it's trying to climb up a tree and sort of learn independence, and with the snow leopard, it's the mother and her two kids, and she's trying to provide for them, and she comes into a couple different attack sequences. And for the monkeys, they have this group called the Lost Boys, and so they're sort of the outcasts of the monkey society, and but it was all very interesting, and because it was so sort of like a rotation, like a round robin of animals, we got to sort of never be really bored with any of them. I thought each of the other ones I had seen, I've only seen two of the other ones, which is Monkey Kingdom and then Bears before that, which was John C. Reilly did the narration for that. In both instances, I got a little bored, I should say, because it's the same animal for an hour and 15, 20 minutes. Here we have a good rotation of animals and stories to come back to, and that really, for me, helped it. I think John Krasinski does a great job at narration. He has come a long way from Jim at The Office. For a while, when he started in movies, I really felt, okay, well, he's just doing Jim. I saw that in Leatherheads and that one wedding movie he was in with Kate Hudson that I don't even remember what it's called. But he did like a bunch of ones like that. License to Wed was another one with, Robin Williams was in that, right? So, it wasn't until that Benghazi movie that I saw a completely other side of him that I'm like, okay, this dude, can actually like act and put forth something more than we saw in The Office. And what's great about the people that Disney gets to do the narration for these movies is that they're comfortable doing both the dramatic stuff, and then they always have like some jokes in there. I think they've actually toned down the jokes a little bit, which is good. The John C. Reilly one I remember from Bears was very jokey, and then Tina Fey a little less so, and then here even a little bit less so, kind of letting the animals, visually do some of the gags. We don't need. It's not America's Funniest Home Videos. We don't necessarily need a line as well. When you see a panda, rolling down a hill because they can't climb a tree, it's funny. I mean, knowing that they don't get hurt either along the way, but also the shots that these guys and gals get, the directors of these movies. I mean, there's a reason that Disney, is just at the top of everything. With Marvel and Star Wars and the Pixar stuff. It's like, oh man, the shots are just glorious in this movie. China's a beautiful place, and they really, let you experience that. And because they go through a whole year, with the seasons, it's even, more beautiful because you get to see the entire year go by in the same setting. So it's nice. Look, it's a nature documentary. Is it breaking new ground? No, the DisneyNature stuff is all pretty standard. I've never rated any of them super, super high. And this one is, of the three I've seen, this is the best. I really, really did enjoy it. But again, is it breaking new ground? Of course not. It's a nature documentary. But I think Krasinski gives, good narration. The shots are beautiful, and I really, really do like that they they kind of did it in segments with the different animals. So Born in China gets a B+ as well from me. So 2 B+ on this show. So recommended films for sure. In the next couple of weeks, we're going to have some really big ones. I know these ones maybe are not the most talked about movies of the day, but in the next few weeks, we're going to have Guardians of the Galaxy 2 coming, Volume 2, of course, coming up, and Alien Covenant, and Snatched, the Amy Schumer movie. So summer movie season is upon us. So hopefully we'll get some real big movies to be reviewed coming up. If I get around to seeing Fast 8, I'll do a review of that as well. I haven't seen it yet, but I did review all 7 of the other ones with my old show, Film Fanatic. So I'm sure I'll probably get around to seeing it eventually, maybe sooner than later. But hopefully you guys are digging the new format, the new channel. So keep those likes and comments coming, and subscribe if you haven't already, and tell your friends and all that jazz. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time. Bye.